Hey, race fans, welcome to another edition of KnoxvilleDirtDigest.com. And today, Kerry Madsen will be our guest. And plus, we have an announcement from Terry McCarl in that race he was teasing everybody about. That's all coming up next, right after this break on KnoxvilleDirtDigest.com.
Tired of doing this? Get a can of this and spend more time doing this. Seafoam helps engines start easier, run smoother, and last longer. Seafoam. Seafoam! Help your engine run smoother and last longer with Seafoam motor treatment. Just pour it in. Seafoam works to clean your fuel system, clean your oil system, and stabilizes fuel up to 2 years. Make the proven choice. Seafoam motor treatment. Available everywhere automotive products are sold.
Hey race fans, Toby Cruz here. If you're looking to get that racing fix, well, Terry McCarl's got you covered. Park Jefferson Speedway will be the place to be coming up a week from Saturday, April 25th. It will be 32 of the best 410 wing sprint cars, along with 32 of the best IMC modifieds from literally around the country, all converging at Park Jefferson Speedway. Hot laps will be at 6:15 with racing action to follow. The grandstands will be open. Social distancing will be definitely in effect. If you have concerns, please wear your face mask, wear gloves. Safety is definitely of the utmost concern. And also, with the concerns of COVID-19, this will be broadcast live on Speed Shift TV. So if you don't feel safe in coming, hey, stay at home, enjoy the time on the comfort of your own couch with your family, your friends, whatever it is may be, and you can watch everything live flag to flag on Speed Shift TV. So this will be at Park Jefferson Speedway. You can check it all out at parkjeff.com Saturday, April 25th. Hot laps at 6:15, racing action to follow. T-Mac will be putting this show on. It will be one for the ages. In these crazy times we're in right now, it's a little something to lift the spirits, lift our hearts, give us something to look forward to. But come on out. The stands will be open. The pits will be open. 64 total cars will be allowed. But please have your mask, your gloves, whatever it is to keep you safe with all the concerns of the COVID-19. And it is definitely a major concern in the forefront of everyone's mind. So please, if you come out, be safe, take all the proper measures to keep yourself, people that will be 6 feet apart, close, or that's the closest we'll be able to be, as everyone knows, so we can keep everyone safe. But hey, otherwise, check it out, speedshifttv.com. So we'll see everybody a week from Saturday, Park Jefferson Speedway. We'll be there with some great racing action and also live on Speed Shift TV. Everyone, please stay safe, stay healthy, and looking forward to getting back to racing action.
Hey, race fans, welcome to another edition of KnoxvilleDirtDigest.com. Mike Roberts along with you for the ride again. And this week, again, we're still kind of not on lockdown in Iowa, but still not traveling with racing. Still no racing going on. As we mentioned a couple weeks ago, Knoxville Raceway is scheduled to start May 2nd, but they're at the governor's choice on whether anything gets going here in Iowa as far as sporting events or outdoor activities. So while this gentleman next to me is parked, we took advantage of getting him in here. Kerry Madsen, a longtime racer at Knoxville Raceway, longtime sprint car racer with World of Outlaws as well. First of all, Kerry, I'd say thanks for taking the time to come in, but really there's not a whole lot going on in your world right now.
Yeah, well, I had a pretty busy schedule at the moment, so it was good to get a break from it and get in here and hopefully do something fun.
That is fun. We always start off, and I'm not going to treat any show any different than I'm right now. We're going to go back and jump in the Wayback Machine, as I call it, and we're going to talk about your childhood as far as again, race fans know you're from Australia, but where were you born? Where'd you grow up at?
I was born in New Zealand and moved to Australia when I was 2 years old.
Okay.
And grew up there. Then childhood over there, grew up, and basically, make a short story long, did a little come over with my dad, raced a little bit in the US in the mid 90s. Then come to Knoxville for a season and never left. And it seems like it's gone by quickly, but I guess there's a lot of details in the middle. There is
a lot of details in the middle, and I've known you for a long time, probably since you came to Knoxville. I never knew you were born in New Zealand. What caused the move from New Zealand to Australia? Was it work or?
I've been too. I don't really know.
Well, not you, but yeah.
Well, I mean, it seems like New Zealand's so close to Australia that my parents moved. I never really asked them why they moved, but it seems like a lot of New Zealanders moved to Australia.
Sure.
Probably more for economic opportunities back then. So, and then we lived in Sydney, lived out there for 20 years. So,
what'd your parents do when you were growing up?
My dad did a bit of everything, really.
Okay.
A bit of an extraordinaire musician, songwriter, owned a wrecking yard or dismantling yard, or you name it, he did it.
Wow. Again, stuff I didn't know.
Yeah.
When did you start showing an interest towards racing?
Typical kid growing up that dad raced.
Right.
And when you just go to the racetrack as a young age, it's definitely so easy to get addicted. And obviously there didn't seem... played a bit of football and did a bit of everything, but I got the racing bug really early and wasn't very smart, and I was just like, well, that's what I'm going to do, and never, probably should have studied a bit harder in school and tried a few other endeavours, but I was just like locked in on racing for some reason.
What'd your dad race?
I raced a bit of late model sedans. They used to call them sedans in
Right.
Sydney back then, and then a little bit of late model stuff, and then right at the end he did a little bit of sprint car stuff.
Is that where you got kind of the big hook was when you saw sprint cars?
Yeah, I love the late models. Funny enough, I helped Donnie Moran for a season or two over here.
Really?
He was like a family friend, and so I definitely love that stuff. And then later on, I got sort of introduced to sprint cars and sort of loved them too.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's how I got into sprint cars, because we had one in the garage type thing, and sort of went and had a few races and went from there.
Did you race karts or anything going up to that?
No, I wish I did, but I was strictly just sort of crewing and,
Okay.
had my eye on doing it. And I was about 19 when I first sort of did my first race.
Okay. Where was that at? Down Australia then?
Down at Parramatta.
Okay. How'd you do the first race out? You remember?
The first time I crashed.
Oh, well.
Yeah. But then about the second or third time, I think it was, I ended up winning the feature. So
Wow.
it was a quick progression. But hey, back then you just, didn't really get to race much. It was once a week it was definitely more a hobbyist type thing.
Okay.
And it was not much. So I would say it's only been the last, seems like ladder of my thing that we've just have got all these great opportunities to do all this racing, and feels like I'm making up for a lot of lost time.
What's it like? You said 19 years old, you jumped in the sprint car for the first time, is that right? 19?
Mm-hmm. Yep. What
What was it like as a 19-year-old? Like I remember getting my driver's license and, holy crap, I'm doing 70 and 80 mile an hour. What was it like as a 19-year-old to jump into that much
Well, I
horsepower?
thought I was a bit behind the curve, because back then we grew up with Brooke Tatnall and
Sure.
Robbie Farr, and there's a bunch of them guys, and they'd already been racing for 2 or 3 years. So I was like, man, I'm missing out, and it's going to be too late for me. So, I can't really remember much from back then, but now I think back now, 19 is such a late start, to be honest. And then you look at guys kids are 14, 15 getting in them now, and
Right.
it seems like if you're not underway at 16 or 17 years old, it seems like you've missed out.
How long did you race in Australia before you came over to America?
A few years. I did a couple of races, a little bit of stuff in Ohio in the mid-90s. So we'd come over and race for a month. I'd be here for a while, but it seemed like we got about a month to 6 weeks of racing in.
So what year did you crew with Donnie Moran then in the late model thing?
That would have been super late 80s or stuff, when I was pretty young, yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if you could almost more say let me tag around really than crew him. So
You learned stuff though.
oh, absolutely, yeah.
When you came over here, did you go straight to racing, or I think of Skip Jackson? Skip came over here and he did some mechanic work for a long time, and then he eventually got into driving.
I did a bit of both. 1 year I helped a team and worked on a team on the road, and then so you'd sort of, you always jump. The goal was to drive for sure, but if you if you weren't racing, you would always try to help a team or do something. Yeah.
Any particular team that you traveled with, or just kind of jumped around?
I worked with Grove Stanton in '96.
Wow.
Ended up being there for about 6 months or 5 months or something. So I did a fair bit of time there, but crewing, obviously.
You had to pick up a lot of knowledge with Stanton. That guy, brain-wise, he was always thinking it looked like to me. I don't know.
Oh, absolutely. Anyone you've been with, you just what you can learn from guys like Stanton or Donnie Moran or anyone. Every situation brings so many opportunities to learn new things for sure. So that's to be able to jump around and do anything and just sort of divest, and so much diversity that hopefully it makes you you learn what everything you pick up and try to jumble it up and put it in your own program.
When was your first night at Knoxville? You remember?
Oh yeah, it was what was it, 98 I think?
98.
Yeah, mid 98.
What car?
Sort of a hodgepodge of a car really. It was we come to race for a season with Barry Lewis and go Sid Moore and stuff, and didn't really work out the way it was planned, but we raced that year anyway, did a few races.
Okay. Sid had a lot of drivers, Skip Jackson, and obviously Max,
Yes.
a bunch of them came over with Sid.
Yep.
Was that the original goal, was to kind of team up with Sid a little bit and see if you can get a ride in America, or what was the plan
Well, we
there?
were going to race for the summer, and just things weren't working out, so Sid kind of bailed pretty early, and so did Barry. And
Okay.
anyway, long story short, I ended up Wayne Simmons and Mike Prophet really ended up helping me out that year. So we started with them guys, but really it was more of a Wayne Simmons, Mike Prophet type thing that got us to the races every week.
Kind of melted on later on. Then
Yeah,
the following year, was that the year you came back with the 82 car? Was that it? I can't remember now.
No,
What
the following year I did ended up doing a season with Al Parker.
That's
And with
right.
Mike Prophet, Al Parker.
That's
yeah.
right. I forgot about that.
Yep.
Again, knowledge. I mean, this guy, Al Parker,
That's
Motors.
what I mean, yeah. So I got to hang out, spent a lot of time up there at the shop hanging out with Al. So it was
Yeah.
really awesome, actually.
Before Al, how much did you know about motors? I mean, you ran around with your dad. You did stuff with other crews, but I mean, Al Parker, back to a Gertie, if you will, Wes Mars. Those guys all just dialed everything in, and Al, especially at Knoxville, is one of the best.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky. I got a really good friend out of Australia, Ivan Walker. He's an absolute sort of savant when it comes to engines. But so I've been around a lot of them guys that know a lot about engines, and it seems like I've been around them to know enough. They're kind of geniuses in their own right that I know I'm really not. Never felt like I was smart enough to be a super real high tech engine guy, but I was always more focused on the whole thing of it. But it is so much fun to listen to the guys that really know a lot about it. They're more into the engineering or the physics side of it rather than just the sort of customer type scenario. So you could pick up so much.
I mentioned all these guys from America, but also Jamie Moyle, who's in America now, also a guy that's building motors and building some really strong 360 motors here for Knoxville as well.
Yeah, it's great to see. Obviously, I mate with Jamie for a long time, and it's really good to see how good his motors are going at the moment and the reputation he's got. So proud of him.
So you're in with Parker and Prophet for a little while.
Yep.
Run a full season with those guys.
Yep.
Then what happens?
So then we're going to do another season with Parker and a guy called Steve Gunder, and that never really panned out, and that sort of fizzled. And I ended up hooking up with Steve Gunder for a few races here or there. And I did this little stuff with Bill Stroud. And Bill was a lot of fun to drive for. Then after that, I went sort of hooked up with Steve Gunder for a few years. That was the 82 car.
Right.
Then did 2 or 3 years there, and we just, we did what we could.
I can remember when you were driving, I think it was the 82 car, and I've known you for a long time. I knew you were a strong, stout guy, but you flipped down going into turn 1, if I remember right, and your helmet popped off.
Oh, that was...
Was that the 82 car? What car was that?
I think it was 98. No,
Was it 98?
The first
Okay.
year, yeah.
Okay. And I remember that, and
embarrassing, man.
you walked over and grabbed the helmet and walked away.
Yeah, that's pretty embarrassing that could happen, but it did.
A lot of G-forces. I mean, you know.
I think there was can't really remember. There was an issue with it, but
Okay.
I mean, probably my fault. I mean, look, I always try to be really super good on the safety stuff and ahead of my curve, but so that it's pretty embarrassing, but it happened. So it's what it is.
It is what it is. And again, a lot of things have changed in safety since then, too. And we're going to talk about that later on as well. We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll visit more of Kerry Madsen and try to figure out why he ended up with the nickname Madman. We'll do all that next on KnoxvilleDirtDigest.com.
Tired of doing this? Get a can of this and spend more time doing this. Seafoam helps engines start easier, run smoother, and last longer. Seafoam. Seafoam! Help your engine run smoother and last longer with Seafoam motor treatment. Just pour it in. Seafoam works to clean your fuel system, clean your oil system, and stabilizes fuel up to 2 years. Make the proven choice. Seafoam motor treatment. Available everywhere automotive products are sold.
And welcome back to KnoxvilleDirtDigest.com. Kerry Madsen on board. And we just got through visiting about how you got up to your point with the 82 car. What happened after the 82 car then?
Well, I mean, the first year I drove for Steve, we had a pretty good year, and we got to do a bit of traveling. And obviously, these guys have these race cars. sometimes the business is going well and that lets them race, or sometimes they've got to focus on other things. And we did a year, I think it was 02 or 03. We did a year here, but we couldn't really do much more than Knoxville. And after that, I went 2004, I think it was, went with Tony Vermeer, TK Concrete.
Right, 55 car.
Yeah. And I did 2004, 2005 with Tony. Started 2006 with him, and that's when they had the NST Outlaw split. Whenever that was going on,
Sure.
And obviously if you're going to drive for full time, the ultimate goal is to be on a traveling team. So I jumped at the opportunity to end up hooking with Sonny Kratzer or Dave Helm on the 11H car, and sort of finished out 06, and we did 07 with the Outlaws that year. And then Dave Helm passed away of 07. So unfortunately that was that team. And then funny enough, 2008, went back to with Tony Vermeer, TK Concrete, and we did the Outlaws in 08.
You picked up a championship with the 55 team early on.
We had a great year. We were on like 6 or 7 races that year.
Yeah.
We were really, really, really good, yeah.
Was that one of the goals when coming over here, is to win a championship? Because, I mean, the difference between what I know about Kerry Madsen or your other racers is you do this for a living. You want to make money because this is your living. You have a retirement someday you know about. You've bought property, so you're investing well. But this is your living. It isn't I'm going to race this, not just Knoxville, but this certain racetrack that only pays $2,500 or $3,000, or I'm going to go out and race the Outlaws and make some big money. Is it always been a job to you?
No, it's never been a job. I wish I was a little more dollar orientated. I feel like I'm more left side of the brain, like more artistic. So to me, it's more about, I love, being part of the team. I like, to me, the car's got to be right. You just got to put your little touches on it. And,
sure.
To me, I've never been a guy that's very good at just jumping around and jumping into rides and leaving just for the sake of making some bucks. I've always been the kind of guy that I'd rather miss a few races, so when we go, we know we're good. So I do wish I was a little more dollar orientated, that I'd focus more on that, but I don't know. I've always been that way. Like, I'm just so focused on to me, I've got to make money, obviously,
right, to
live. But I've never ever done this for the sake of I think I can make money at it.
It's the competition. It's the win, is what you're trying to tell me.
The love of it, the competition. I love, for sure, the competition, and it's still, to me, like, if you go, you go work on your race car and you show up with everything, all the hard work you've done and whatever you might be trying to do at the time, everyone's got their own little things they got going on in terms of, what kind of package, engine, shot, who knows. But
sure.
And show up, and when you do well, and there's something to that.
When you talk about the 11H, that's where we kind of hung off at there a little bit, but we have to back up a little bit before that, because I meant to mention this earlier. I said it when you came in, but happy anniversary. You also, in that time period, met your wife.
Yeah, I met my wife the first year I came to Knoxville that year. And short story, I've never left. That's
20
one
years.
Of the things I never left since Knoxville. And yesterday was we'd been married for 20 years. So I went. Definitely seems like since I've been here, things have gone quick for sure.
Sure, I know. Back in the 11H car, you mentioned the fact that it dissolved, but man, what a team to get with the Outlaws. I mean, those guys were top notch.
Yeah, I definitely. Unfortunately for me, I probably got onto the backside of that, that team, but it was still a great opportunity.
Yeah.
And, I ended up having a great relationship with a guy called Sonny Kratzer, who was pretty much crew chief, general manager of that team.
Right.
And, had a really long relationship with him. And so that was pretty special to create that relationship. And it definitely, jump in that team. And to me, that was the step, to sort of getting out, trying to be full-time and going from there.
When you got back in the 55 car with TK, Tony Vermeer, was it tough to say, hey, I want to go World of Outlaw racing, I just don't want to race Knoxville?
That's something they wanted to do, to be honest. Yeah, it was shocked me, to be honest. Because, Tony had, before that, any conversation we had was in regards to, he wanted to race at Knoxville, and he was only going to do what he could do. So when they wanted to that's what they wanted to do. I was like, cool. And funny enough, we got Sonny on board for that year, and it was a fun year. It was a shame we couldn't have continued that team, because every time you hook up with a new team or a new situation, you always think it's like, all right, step one, we're putting all the hard work in now, so
Sure.
it'll pay off 2 or 3 years later. So that's, to me, that's always in the back of your mind when you get in a new situation. So you hate when you put all the hard work in and it doesn't quite pan out.
You guys had Sonny on board. Who else helped you out on the road? Because, on the road's a tough gig. It's not a two-man operation.
I had Matt Barbara right around then, which is the KCP team.
Yep.
He was sort of a crew chief type position then. And I had my brother. He helped out a lot. So a bit of a hodgepodge. And that was it for them guys, yeah. And then they come and helped me in 05, 04. They were the crew. And that was it.
You mentioned your brother Matt, and to look what they're doing now with their team. Did they? I know your brother came over wanting to race also. I had only met Matt when he hooked up with you. I didn't know what his background was, but he obviously a huge race fan and now has his own company. Mm-hmm. So, did you guys know then, or was it like, wow, we just have an opportunity, let's go out and race and do what we're going to do and see what happens? Did you know it was going to end up being someday your brother's going to have his own big team too? Was that the goal for him too, you think? Or
I think it was more of a dream than a goal, to be honest.
Sure.
But, I was surprised, like them guys were just coming for, did I know that Ian was going to come and stay here and base and race, or Matt for that?
Right.
No, I didn't. But they saw the opportunity. Something about traveling to a new place and finding new opportunities and staying and taking advantage of it. So it was great to see. And no, I didn't. Who would have known?
Had you raced against your brother down in Australia prior to that?
Not really, just a little bit. So he just pretty much started around 05 when he sort of really got started. So, he was trying to do a bit of racing here or there, but a little bit, not at that time when he was starting. Yeah, and we'd race together, but definitely not in the same part of the field.
Right. What's the age difference between you and Ian?
14 years.
14 years?
Yep.
Okay. So I knew there was a little bit, but I didn't know how much it was. So, all right. So we're in the 55 car. We go out and we do some World of Outlaw stuff for a year. And again, you wish it can always last longer, especially when you get the nucleus going and really going good. What happens then?
That year, following year, 2009, obviously it was after that GFC in 08. So that, I remember we were in the backside of the GFC, funny enough, talking about the GFC, what was that, economic, whatever, downturn or whatever you want, whatever that was, the bank and loan saving or whatever that was. So on the 2008, things got really expensive. Obviously business was winding down. I remember being on the road and we're paying like $5 a gallon for diesel. And I'm like, this ain't good. So obviously, 2009, Tony wanted to scale back and just race here and do what he could, which, that's obviously that sort of stuff's gone first. And so we raced in 2009, and obviously at that point I wasn't interested in running at Knoxville. I love racing at Knoxville, don't get me wrong, but I just love all the variety of traveling. So I feel like if you race here at Knoxville, you're kind of stuck here at Knoxville. And it's, even though I say you don't, do this for the money, unfortunately you have to make a certain amount of money to live. So I just wanted to travel more. So I left in 2010, drove for a guy for a year called Brian Hall out of Australia. And we put a package together with Sonny Kratzer, and we ran that season here out pretty much out of Knoxville. But we travelled a lot. We had that's a pretty good year. We were pretty quick. Mm-hmm. So continue on the timeline.
Continue on,
right on.
A lot of rides.
And then so I was going to drive for Brian Hall. I was driving for a guy called Jeff Kendrick for those 2 years in Australia.
Right.
Bear in mind, every off-season I'm in Australia, and I had my own team in Australia for a few years. And I was pretty lucky. I had some sponsors, but, I was winning some big races there every year to make it work. And I'm like, decided that it was silly to stay in that, so I'd try to slip into more driving for someone. So I drove for a guy called Jeff Kendrick for a couple of years in Australia out of a WA. Mm-hmm. And after the Brian Hall, I went back to Jeff in Australia, and that's when I'd met up with Bob Gavranich and sort of pitched him maybe about doing something in the USA. And pretty much from 2011, 2012 is when we started setting up Bob's team with Kerry Racing, and I was there for 5 years.
Yeah.
Till mid 2016.
Opened up a big shop just north here on Highway 14.
Yep.
Did you ever dream it would get that little pitch to Bob would get that big? I mean, or was that I want this type of team, I want this type of facility, here's what we're going to go for, and you just kind of swung for the fences, or?
No, I was I was like, hey man, let's go race. You want to go help me in America somehow? So,
right.
And then from there, obviously, these certain guys want to do things right. They want it they want it to be as professional as they can. And I mean, you've always got in your head, if you're responsible for a team, how the template and how it needs to be, and so you're always working to that goal. Unfortunately, it's a big chunk of change just to start from scratch. So, we built that up pretty quick in a short amount of time.
When you build a team like that, Kerry, I mean, besides a place to house the team, besides the motors, besides the chassis, besides the rigs, how do you actually decide, and maybe it's just a matter of who's available, who you bring into that team? Because it's a knowledge factor. It's also a trust factor because you're talking a lot of money and a lot of parts.
I think, everyone, when they start these things, I think everyone's pretty bright-eyed and kind of, you don't underestimate it. Maybe you're pitching it, but you always think you're going to be smart and you're going to make, not making any mistakes and do everything exactly right from the start.
Right.
But the reality is now, every time I talk to someone about starting a team or give advice, I'm like, it seems like it's 3 years. It'll be your third year when you start from scratch. By the time you've got the right people, could be different drivers, could be different crew chiefs. So it seems like by the third year, that's when whoever's paying the bills or whoever's in charge, by that point, that's where they're going to be sort of comfortable to know to proceed from that point where we've got the right sort of part suppliers, right vendors, right engine people, to really move forward. It's just going to be this growing pains. I guess there's a reason why when everyone has a 3-year business plan in business, because it's definitely 3 years.
Yeah. Who was your crew chief on that car?
We had a few. We had Sonny Kratzer the first year. Then we had Rob Hart for a year and a half. Then we had Shane Bowers for a little bit. And then we ended up with Tyler Swank. He was there for 2 and 3/4 years after that.
You keep bringing Sonny up in the equation. You guys still stay in touch?
I was just thinking that this morning. I need to give him a call and see how he's doing in this sort of in the midst of this little lockdown we're in.
Yeah, good people to be around. And Tyler now is with your brother.
Yeah, yep.
So.
He's joined the dark side. So
fast forward. Next ride after that is
Muddy.
Yeah.
Oh no. So
was there one in between there?
Yeah, there was. So in the middle of after Kerry, they wound down after Nationals in 2016.
Right.
And I thought, well, I'm probably stuck for the rest of the season, and end up driving the 17 car, finished the year with them guys.
I forgot about that.
And we actually had a bit of success, won Jackson Nationals that year, and so we got to the end of that year, and I still didn't really know what to do, what was going to happen, or there's so much the team was going to continue or not, and then I end up driving for Todd Quiring till current status at the moment.
Tyler went with you on the 17 car, right?
No, Tyler ended up going with Roth and Saldana.
That's right. Yeah, he came in later on that deal. So you hook up with Todd. Was it originally? It was Todd. Still owns the car, and you had Forbrook.
Yep.
And again, Guy Forbrook at Knoxville. I'm sure there someday will be better, but as far as cars, motors, the balance for Knoxville, definitely one of the best. Has the most wins as an owner too.
Yeah, we did 2017. We had an unbelievable year in 2017 with Guy, and I sort of thought, like could have sort of went it. Guy was definitely not interested in doing the Outlaws or anything like that, but we were so quick in 17. I thought, well, I'll stay here because we can win some big races, and we just couldn't quite get the magic we had in 2017 again. So And then unfortunately, guy's got, some
He's had
things he has to
yep.
personally worry about before
Yep.
racing. And so then 2018, we just had Dylan Buswell help us for a few 3 or 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
And then we were sort of just trying to put everything back together, and we're still trying to. I think this year, once we get rocking, we've got Cody Jacobs, and it seems like we're putting some pieces in place for a long-term future for Todd. So he's got, he's got his shop, everything's at his shop, got his people, and we can sort of put that the way it needs to be put, so it can run seamlessly without.
This is kind of that third-year nucleus you were talking about without Guy. I mean, you guys are starting your third season off.
I feel like we're maybe year 1 or 2 starting again.
Okay.
We've got new people in. It seems like, to me, the biggest thing that when you just have stability and continuity, and you got the same people, and it seems like for whatever, no one's fault. It's just the way things happen. We've turned over a few people. And we just need to stabilise, and I think Todd's done the right things from this point on, or at the end of last year, that we can do that and just build what we need to build.
Need to mention also, because we kind of left it out there, Guy had some health issues, had a couple surgeries, I think it was.
Yep.
He's getting stronger every day. He's actually putting cars together. Him and Gio Sells are going to hook up later on this year if we get going. I mean, that's one of the things too. And you and I had this conversation coming into this thing about when are we going to start and what is the future of racing, and boy, you just don't know. I mean, it's a crapshoot right now.
The age-old question: how long's a piece of string?
Exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. One thing we do want to mention: Terry McCarl was guest last week, and he kind of teased into the fact that he was working on finding a place to race. He has found a place to race. We're going to make that announcement official. Park Jefferson, April 25th. I believe hot laps are around 6:15. Stay tuned to our other web shows, and we'll tell you for sure on that. But the state of South Dakota, and more importantly, the county of Union County in South Dakota, has agreed to let a number of cars, I believe the predetermined amount is 32 sprint cars, and then they'll have another class that will be up to 32 as well. I believe it's going to be modifieds, but I'm not sure. We're still waiting on logistics of that as well. I can't say for sure as far as the fans, as far as how many will be allowed, or if it's going to be a pay-per-view TV thing or only. Again, keep an eye on our website at KnoxvilleDirtDigest.com for that information. You guys are obviously ready to race. I mean, are you heading for Park Jefferson if it's available?
To be honest, it's kind of news to us. But right now we've got all the guys that are all at home.
Right.
Obviously in isolation, lockdown. I'm not so sure we could personally be ready in time. But look, it's great.
Yeah.
I know everyone wants to do it, and it sounds like, they've got the right contingencies in place and plans to do this right, so safe for everyone. And this could be the new business model, especially hopefully everyone tunes in on the what do you call it?
Pay-per-view. Yep.
And make this a goer, because this could be the new norm or our new reality for a little while.
We talked about this a little bit because this is going to affect. Let's just talk racing in general, not a special event or a certain event. But this affects, again, livelihood a little bit. If you start racing at racetracks without fans, you don't have T-shirt sales at a racetrack. And that's where you make some and or a lot of your money.
I mean, T-shirts are a weird game.
Right.
Some years you have a really great year, and some years you wonder why you do it. I mean, it's not. I don't think for 1 second that a lot of us derive our income from T-shirts. It's just sometimes you hit a home run, and sometimes you're like, why did I order them shirts?
Right.
But it's a weird game. It's like anything, but so that's not here nor there, the shirt game. In reality is, it's weird because even though, if an owner's budgeted X amount to go racing for the year, and we don't race,
right?
So technically save money. Because every time you race, someone's losing money. That's just the reality of the economics of the sport. But unfortunately, on the backside of this, it's small businesses that kind of fund these race cars. So, but everyone's got paid help. Everyone that works on these cars now is paid and paid not too bad money. And so at some point, we need to get everyone working and justify our existence. It's a crazy deal. So I know a lot of guys will be chomping to go do that race for sure.
You mentioned T-shirts as part of the equation, but not necessarily what you lean on. I mentioned before the break that we were coming back, and I almost forgot until we started talking T-shirts because I've seen some of your designs. The nickname Madman, where did that start and when did that start?
Well, I mean, everyone that knows me knows I'm like, pretty super, don't say much, pretty mild-mannered, and it's just one of them, like a big guy's called Tiny. So
yeah,
I'm so mild, they called me the Madman.
You played off of that, though, with design, too. You've had it on your cars, you've had it on your T-shirts.
I'm not. Some guys are real super fussy. A lot of the, you basically how a shirt works is you call up and you sort of say a little bit what you want, and the artists, they kind of send back what you get, and you either go, well, yay or nay. So
yeah.
I've never been too fussy. I'm not too fussed on all that stuff. I don't know, something like, I might not put the Madman on, like if it looks all right. So,
do you like the Madman persona? I mean, it used to be. I'll bring up Sammy Swindell. For years, he was slamming Sammy Swindell, and then for a little bit in that time period, he didn't want to be called slamming. I mean, John Gibson told us don't introduce him as slamming.
Yeah, because I guess for whatever reason, in all the, this is not getting political, but not maybe for use of a better term, PC. You try to be a little more corporate, especially when you got people putting in a lot of money, and
sure.
if you've had corporate sponsors, so you definitely for a reason you're definitely cognizant of trying to lose a little bit of that rough image,
right?
Like a Madman or the Slammy or any of those kind of nicknames. But it seems like now that any that thing kind of embraces that kind of a rough image. That's who we are. So. But 10, 15 years ago, you was kind of not be that. So that's probably where, there was times I didn't want to be the Madman for sure, but probably should have acted like a dickhead either. But
it is what it is.
Same with Slammy, like you don't want to call that the Slammer, stop slamming people. But yeah. I'm kidding. Next minute, I'll get slammed.
I gotta say, yeah, exactly right.
I don't know. That's, the sports definitely... They love to give the drivers nicknames, and
right.
That's great. Like I said,
I think the fans feed off of it too.
Yeah, and if you're a driver, you want to have a cool nickname. You don't want a crappy nickname. So
Brian ended up with Black.
Not everyone.
Jack,
we want to be the king, but unfortunately, there's only one king. So
it's fun. It's funny you mentioned that.
I remember when. Go
ahead.
I remember at Shots one. He was trying to be Shaquille Shots, and they shut that one down pretty quick too. So,
I forgot all about that.
So. I mean, I guess that's a personal thing with everyone, but... I
think Donnie's nickname is Boo around here, it seems like. Every time they introduce him, all I hear is Boo, so...
Yeah, he's deserved that.
Wouldn't it be nice to be booed all the time, though, for winning like that?
I've got a few boos, so I'm up there. I've got a few. I'm like, ooh, you hear a few boos, and you're like, all right.
Yeah. Gives you a little more adrenaline to win the next race.
You're just like, well, if you're not hearing a few boos...
Yeah.
Yeah.
We touched on safety a little bit ago and the mistakes you've made, but the safety factors changed so much in the last decade. I mean, literally, the Hans device is still a hot topic as far as wearing it because some drivers like it, some drivers don't. What's your opinion as far as the safety? I know the seats have been unbelievable. I mean, from when I started 100 years ago to now, I mean, huge difference.
I've been on the forward edge of any safety innovation. I was one of the first ones to have a full containment seat.
Right.
First to have a Hans. I've always been really forward thinking, made a bad of a term, but just always tried to work hard to make my cockpit as safe as I could. Didn't used to be, but it used to be pretty loose when I started. We all think we're invincible, but I've kind of worked on the theory that, I've had some pretty big wrecks, and I'm probably going to have some more, and I want to walk away from them. So I want to give myself the best opportunity I can. And when the full containment seats first come in, I remember having not arguments but discussions with tracks and series is about not series as tracks but and officials about we're not going to let you race that seat because we can't get you out of it. And I'm like, hey, I'll take my chances on getting out myself than some of these.
Yeah, I remember the argument
situations.
Yeah, I remember.
And now you wouldn't even, I don't think they'd even let you race without a safety, which is good.
Right.
The Hans thing is a no-brainer to me. To not wear a Hans or a similar device is, you watch some of these old videos and guys' heads are coming out the sides and
arms flailing and everything else. Yeah,
Hans is just such an I know it's not underrated, but I can't tell you how good the Hanses are, and they really have come a long way, and they're comfortable to wear now. When we first had them, maybe it was in your head, but you're like, oh, it feels different, and but once we worked on the seatbelt, got the seatbelt whole thing so that the way it straps on your shoulders and pushes down, and it is so much better, and it just feels right. And we just wouldn't race without a Hans now. You wouldn't race. And there's a new round of helmets coming out soon where they've put frontal protection. We're probably a couple of years behind what they do in F1 on the helmets. So.
Right.
So that stuff's come a long way, and just even simple stuff like tear-offs have come so far in the last 20 years, and just race. I mean, we've got a great partner with P1 Race Suits out of Italy, and Mike Nan from Australia, and just how light the race suits are and how effective they are, and just all that stuff is just come so far in a short amount of time.
One thing I've noticed, and in fact, I kind of teased you a little bit because you went for a timeline there where you were, I don't want to say out of shape, but you were definitely bulkier than you were a few years back. And you came in and all of a sudden, you were just lean and trim. That has a lot to do with not just endurance, but that also has to do with safety too. The better shape you're in, your recovery time is a lot if you do get hurt. And staying healthy.
I was in good shape. I just like my Big Macs and Jim Beam too much.
Hey, we made a joke the other day. McCarl and I went up to Park Jefferson. We made a joke the other day. After this whole shutdown is over with, we're going to have to go join Weight Watchers and AA. I mean, it's been a crazy
It's got to be
year.
one or the other, I think. Can't be both.
Yeah, I know it. But how important, again, besides the endurance of being a race car driver, how important it is to be in the best shape you can physically for safety aspects too?
Well, just thinking of it like this, a sprint car, if a feature race goes non-stop, and these things are pretty demanding to drive now, say 30 laps at Knoxville,
right?
Non-stop, let's equate that to 12 to 13 minutes, and you want to just put yourself on a treadmill and run at 8 or 9 miles per hour for 13 minutes. So you need to be, that's about, we're not triathletes, so I don't train to be a triathlete, but it's no doubt about it, being in good shape is an advantage. Yeah,
you do ride your bike everywhere too. I see you all over town in the summertime.
Yeah, unfortunately it's stuck in Wyndham, so I haven't been riding, but gyms are shut down, so I've got a little bit of stuff at home, and I'm just trying to keep up, but you're just like freaking out because you feel like when you're not in the race suit or your race car for a little while, you're just not looking forward to that first thing, and it's like hoping you fit in your prom dress or your wedding dress or anything. So just it's tough because you can't work out as much as you want to at the moment. But and it seems like food's a little too easy to get a hold of. But I'm sure when we get the at some point when we get sort of some date to go race, it'll be lock in and focus and push towards it. But it's kind of like now, just how you just enjoy it.
You've got a ton of laps, a lot of years left in you. But when you're done driving a sprint car, where does Kerry Madsen go from there?
I want to be involved. I don't know, just take any opportunity I can get, to be honest.
Car owner, crew chief, promoter, all the above?
I don't think I'd be a promoter. I'd love to be like, if you could help out at Knoxville or something, that's for sure. But car owner, crew chief type role, I could definitely do that. Or
bartender at Dingus?
No, I couldn't do that.
Couldn't do that?
I couldn't do that.
Really?
Give away way too many drinks.
Kerry, I do appreciate you coming in. Again, our schedule is a little bit lighter than usual, and hopefully I get a chance to bother you a little bit later on this season across the street as well.
Yeah, I mean, the sport's got so many great fans, and I know everyone's chomping at the bit, but we've got to do our thing at the moment and just bide our time, be patient, because it's going to be a transition, but sooner or later there's going to be some normality at some point, and we'll get back into it. All
right, sounds good. Kerry Madsen, our guest this week on KnoxvilleDirtDigest.com. We do want to remind everybody again, the big announcement, Park Jefferson looking to race a week from Saturday. Terry McCarl, T-Mac Motorsports Front Row Challenge is going to be taking the reins on that. You can pick up more information later on at KnoxvilleDirtDigest.com, or you can go up to Park Jefferson's website. I believe it's parkjeff.com, and keep an eye on that. But racing's coming sooner or later, folks, and hopefully we can do it as early as next Saturday night. Again, we want to thank Seafoam for coming on board, and we'll see everybody next week.
Tired of doing this? Get a can of this and spend more time doing this. Seafoam helps engines start easier, run smoother, and last longer. Seafoam. Seafoam! Help your engine run smoother and last longer with Seafoam motor treatment. Just pour it in. Seafoam works to clean your fuel system, clean your oil system, and stabilizes fuel up to 2 years. Make the proven choice. Seafoam motor treatment. Available everywhere automotive products are sold.